Hey guys, what's going on? James here, and in this video today, we're going to be talking about all the players that we all should be keeping an eye on for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers preseason Week 2 matchup versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. If you guys are new here, by the way, go ahead and subscribe. We are on the road to 20,000 subscribers. Let's go ahead and start with the offensive side of things. I feel like first and foremost, you've got to talk about the quarterbacks, right? Kyle Trask, John Wolford, both had a very good preseason week 1. More so Wolford than Trask, but I think both quarterbacks had more good than bad in preseason week 1. So I want to see that continue. I want to see those guys continue to apparently battle it out for the backup quarterback position and showcase their abilities, getting a little bit more comfortable with some of the backups that they are playing with for the next 2 games. On the running back side of things, you have a couple of guys that are worth mentioning. Bucky Irving scored a touchdown. I want to see more of him. A lot of people came away very impressed with Sean Tucker. It was far and away the best moments we have seen from Tucker throughout his very young NFL career up to this point. He is battling for a roster spot right now. You also had an interesting player in DJ Williams, undrafted free agent running back out of Arizona, I believe. He is going to be another interesting back to pay attention to. And then finally, Ramon Jefferson had a rushing touchdown last week as well. He has a little bit of a history with Liam Cohen, the Bucs' current offensive coordinator. They were together at Kentucky last year. So all of these running backs have something going for them. And hey, who knows, maybe even Chase Edmonds might see a little bit of game time action in here as well. So honestly, you can say pretty much every running back not named Rachaad White should be worth paying attention to. In the receiving game, of course, I'm going to mention Jalen McMillan. I'm going to say Trey Palmer as well, but a couple of other guys that I think are interesting options. I'm going to throw some tight ends in here as well. Raheem Jarrett, I feel like people have kind of forgotten about him, but he showed some good things last week. Ryan Miller showed some good things last week as well. Both of those guys were the 2 leading receivers last week. Ryan Miller with 42 yards, Raheem Jarrett with 35. I thought that Payne Durham had a couple of nice catches last week as well. And the more I think about it, and I've heard Evan Wanish and Rhett Matthew talk about this over on the Cannon Fire podcast, and I tend to agree with those guys more now. I feel like Payne Durham has the number 2 tight end spot locked up. Just the more I see and the more I kind of give it time, the more I go, yeah, those 2 guys are probably right. Where Payne Durham seems like he is going to be that number 2 tight end going forward. And you know what? I think he looks a little bit, not a little bit, he looks much improved this year than last year, in my opinion. He looks sharper. He looks faster, in my opinion. I thought he was kind of slow and plodding last year. I don't really see that this year. He looks much improved. There are a couple of other guys in there as well. I'm still going to say Devin Culp if he is healthy and ready to go. He got a little bit shaken up last week as another tight end worth mentioning as well. On the defensive side of things, folks, you have well, you know what? Hold on. There's still a couple more offensive guys I want to mention. I mean, Cody Thompson, Tanner knew a little bit. He did have a drop touchdown last week, which was definitely noticeable. And heck, even, Rayleigh Webb. Why not? Rayleigh Webb's a big wide receiver, by the way. I did not realize how tall Rayleigh Webb is. He's like 6'2", over 200 pounds. Like, big wide receiver, dude. Big wide receiver. So those are a lot of guys in the receiving game worth talking about, worth mentioning. Before we go to the defense, let's talk about like offensive line, right? Graham Barton, Robert Hainsey. I want to see more of that. I almost completely forgot about those guys. My apologies for that. We do have to talk about the offensive line. Graham Barton had some pretty glowing reviews last week, and it's understandable to see why. I thought he played well last week. Similar with Robert Hainsey. He did have a botched snap, so I'm going to be more interested to see Graham Barton and how he kind of continues to grow and develop. Aside from that, you saw Ben Bredesen, you saw Cody Mock. I thought those guys looked pretty good last week. Besides that, there's a lot of young rookies, right, that have a lot to prove. Ryan Johnson was brought in, the young man out formerly with the New England Patriots, undrafted rookie out of Youngstown State. Avery Jones is a backup guard / center. Elijah Klein, the draft pick out of UTEP, has got some stuff to prove in there as well. Geez, Brandon Walton needs to have a good bounce back game. I think that Lorenz Metz has to have a bit of a bounce back game as well because both those guys struggled last week. Pay attention to a lot of guys on the backup O-line just because, wow, the starters looked pretty good with Bredesen, with Barton, with Mock out there. You had some of the backups struggling, specifically at tackle, and you want to see that grow and improve going forward. Now, onto the defensive side of things. Keenan Isaac had a pick last week. I love that. And he had a pass deflection as well. So, shout out Keenan Isaac. A big cornerback, right? Like, he is 6'3", 190 pounds, according to NFL.com. That's impressive, dude. I like that. So, shout out Keenan Isaac. Maybe he can be a practice squad type of guy in that secondary. Who knows? Kayvon Merriweather is another guy that had a heck of a game last week in terms of just pass break, or in terms of just getting a pass deflection here, a tackle for loss there. He was all over the field. He is another very impressive young backup player, 6 feet tall, 212 pounds, according to NFL.com. I came away thinking this dude could be a backup safety. Heck, you could even rotate him in, much like what he was doing last year for the Bucs, and I would feel pretty good about that. I would actually say that Kayvon Merriweather probably has an inside track to make this roster right now. Linebackers, I mean, J.J. Russell, V. Jones. J.J. Russell went crazy last week. He had 7 tackles and a pass deflection. He looked really good. I think that you give him the advantage right now for that linebacker 4 spot. V. Jones did some good stuff in this past game. He's a guy that's still going to be in that mix all the way till the end, I believe. He had 4 tackles in the game last week. Tyke Smith, the rookie out of Georgia, did a couple of interesting things after he calmed down a little bit in the early stages of the game. He was a little bit shaky. He calmed down. Things got better for him going forward. But after that, man, that's the positives, right? Oh, yeah, also, shout out Marcus Banks, by the way. He had 4 total tackles in this game. He's a rotational type of safety. I want to give him a little bit of credit. He did some good work on special teams. But after that, pass rush, that's a negative. Pay attention to, right? Like, CJ Brewer had a bit of pressure. Shout out CJ Brewer. I think, like, J.J. Russell and V. Jones brought a bit of pressure at inside linebacker, but pay attention to these pass rushers, man. Pay attention to Braswell. Pay attention to Gregiak. Pay attention to, I mean, really all the guys that are trying to get a spot here in this pass rush, because preseason week one was not great for them. Was not. You want to see those guys grow. You want to see those guys improve from week 1 to week 2, because boy, oh boy, was not a great preseason week 1 for the pass rush. You want to see those backups grow and develop. Jose Ramirez is another name in there as well. My apologies. Josh Hayes got a little bit cooked at cornerback. Andrew Hayes got very cooked at cornerback. Chris McDonald did a little bit as well. Those are guys you're looking to see improve from preseason week 1 to preseason week 2. So I do have to throw some negatives out there with those positives. But finally, a couple of guys I want to mention. Hey, like Trey Palmer, Tanner New were kick returning? Punt returning, it looks like. Punt returning. Tanner New also had a 30-yard kickoff return. Bucky Irving had a 22-yard kickoff return. So shout out to those guys. Like, seems like those guys are all battling for a returner. Let's see what happens there, right? Are the Buccaneers going to rotate in some more guys? Are they not? I don't know. Finally, Chase McLaughlin. Look, he made his 35-yarder. He made his extra points. I love that. He missed a 51-yarder. Now, I'm not going to harp on him too much, right? I'm not. Look, 51-yarder is a tough field goal to make, but he was making those last year. And this is why I told you guys, you got to pay attention to that type of stuff, man. Look, the biggest reason they got rid of Ryan Suckup and got Chase McLaughlin was because they wanted a guy who could hit from 50 plus. And I don't even mean to harp on Chase McLaughlin. I love Chase McLaughlin. I think he's a great kicker. But I'm always going to sit there and go, let's see what this kicker can do. He missed 51-yarder last year. He's going to have to bounce back a little bit. Come on now, right? What if that was a game winner? That's all I got to say. I'm not saying I expect a kicker to go 100% all the time, right? That's why I'm giving him a little bit of leeway here and saying like, well, hopefully those are some jitters that are out there early, right? But again, reason they gave him a big contract, reason a lot of Bucs fans love him right now is because he was hitting those 50+ yarders. I want to see him hit those. And that's just a small thing for me. That's a nitpicky thing, let's say. But guys, that's pretty much it from me. What players are you guys going to be paying attention to? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments section below. I would love to hear it. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope y'all enjoyed. And as always, I'll see you all in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now. And go Bucs.